I want to talk about an experience that I had with someone is very important to me. She was my college buddy in chiropractic school. We were kind of like partners in crime, and I had met her right away when I transferred up to chiropractic school in the Bay Area from LA. We became fast friends. I would call her Kareem. Um, she has another name, but I'm going to say Kareem for her privacy. Well, what happened was I hadn't seen her in years since school ended, really. Life just takes you in different directions. And this is before, really cell phones and all that stuff. And, that's how long it's been. It's been about 24 years, wow, since I've been out of chiropractic school. And, I run into her at a spiritual event. She had a booth. Now, Kareem was very significant because when we were in chiropractic school, we became fast friends as soon as I transferred there. She was already there, but because I transferred, I was in different levels. And I had different groups that I was with to get the classes that I need. And, when we had classes together, we were just like partners in crime, and we hung out. And, she forced me to, you know, use my psychic gifts, and she actually set my life in the direction that it went, where after I graduated chiropractic school, I was coaching and doing readings. And so she's someone that I trust. I mean, she could tell me anything and I will believe her, because she comes from this pure non-judgmental place, and when she says something, it's not with motive or judgment. It's just, this is what it is, because she has the gift and she's very gifted, and she's always been right in my life, so I trust her. So I run into her after all these years. This was back in 2018, so it was been 6 years ago. I run into her, and we were talking, and she said, I know what happened to Brandon. I looked at your website, and I don't know if you got my message, which I didn't get her message. And, she said, wow, and, sorry, and we're talking. But out of nowhere, she says this phrase, haven't you suffered enough? And I thought, why did you say that? Because living my life, I've been traveling, living in different places, hanging out with friends, socializing, different things, right? So I'm living my life, and I feel like I'm doing fine. I am doing much better than what I was doing, especially when it happened at this time. It would have been 10 years since I had lost my son. But when she said that to me, I thought about it when I was driving from the event that was in Sacramento, and I was living in the Bay Area. So I had like an hour and a half drive, and I thought, why did she say that to me? Because I didn't get a chance to really talk about it there, because she's running her booth and people are coming up, and, I'm going around the different booths. And I thought, what does that mean? Am I not living the life I think I live? And, if somebody else would have said this to me, I would have just written it off. But her, when she says something to me, I know to think and I know to reflect, because that is our connection. And we always did that for each other. So I fully trust Kareem. And what I realized she was saying to me is, okay, you're living a good life, but have you fully lived life at 100% despite what you have gone through? And she felt like in some ways I was holding myself back, and because of some of the grief and the suffering, and, it reminded me that, hey, we suffer when we're grieving. We suffer when we lose someone, but are we supposed to suffer forever? I mean, to prove that we love that person? Is that what life is supposed to be? So after that situation, I've always been able to manifest. I talked about, many times how I was able to manifest things I needed to take care of my son, because I was poor raising him while I went through school. And, I manifested a place to live in the Bay Area, which was impossible at that time. And so I could finish chiropractic school. I was always manifesting. So I thought I was doing enough, but I felt like at the same time, thinking about what she said, I was kind of holding myself back some, because I didn't have my why. I lost my why. So for you guys, you know what it is. If you have a why and you've lost someone, you kind of lose your why, especially if it's a kid, right? A lot of times we do things for the love of our kids or family. They're the reason for some of our dreams and our goals. And it's nice to be able to give to the people you love. And my why was gone. So I wasn't doing a lot of things that I could have done. Like, for example, I think it was like 2 or 3 years after my son passed, I could have been a psychic on a TV show, and I turned it down. I turned down a lot of things because I was just not in the space. There were so many opportunities of things that happened that I just, they were opportunities that I didn't take. And so I had to realize, whoa, maybe some of it was I just wasn't emotionally ready, or maybe I just didn't want to thrive as much. I was living, but I wasn't living fully at 100%. Maybe I was living at 65, 70, 75%. I wasn't living life fully. And that happens a lot when you lose someone. You go through the motions of life. You do a few things. You may take a trip. You may travel. You may spend time with friends. You may go to a celebration. But are you truly living your life fully? Do you feel like you deserve to live a full and rich life and be whole and experience life with pure joy and live it at 100%? Now, when I say life at 100%, it doesn't mean perfect, and it doesn't mean, having a lot of wealth, but it means living all your dreams, whatever they are for you. So 100% for me is different for you, is different for each person, right? And truthfully, I wasn't fully living at my 100%. I was still suffering some, still grieving because I was hiding. I wasn't really wanting to be out and about. I had a radio show that I stopped doing. I just wanted to be very introverted, have a couple of friends, which I still only keep a couple of true people around. But, I just wasn't living fully. So I want you to ask yourself, are you living life fully? Are you suffering for any reason because of some type of trauma that has happened to you? Or have you made a decision to live life fully? So what I started doing is I started writing it out and talking to my coach about, the grief that was still left behind. And, I wanted to do better at living better with grief, but still excelling with life and living life more to the fullest. And so I got more into the energy work and somatic work and just doing a lot of inner work to say that I have to create a new why. So guess what? You have to create a new why. You are being forced to create a new why. Plan A fell apart, right? Just beyond control. It's gone. My plan A is gone. A lot of us has had our plan A taken away from us. So now you go into plan B. And some of you, unfortunately, may be on plan C, plan D, but you still can have a full life at plan B, plan C, and so on. It's just going to look different. And so part of me living life at 100% was writing a book about my son, talking more about it, being outspoken online. Sometimes I'm very outspoken. Sometimes I trigger people. It was me manifesting things and doing summits and being on podcasts. It was just different. It was, stuff that I stopped hiding from and talking about things that are uncomfortable. When you think about it, grief is not sexy or fun. It's not the fun stuff. And I wanted to do fun stuff. I said, what if I be real and talk about navigating life with grief and say, hey, there's some hard moments, but there are some good moments and there are some fun moments, and you can live a full life and you don't have to suffer. And if you think about the person that you've lost, they don't want you to suffer. My son would no way in hell want me to suffer. And so I had to ask myself, am I suffering? Why am I suffering? What am I going to do about it? So I really explored it. And I would say to yourself, if you're not living life at the fullest, what's really in the way? A lot of times we get in our own way and we don't want to discuss that. Sometimes in society there's a lot of blaming, a lot of excuses, but really we get in our own way. And sometimes it's for legitimate reasons. Grief, sadness, divorce, something, right? Something awful happened, some traumatic event. But if you think about it, you're not supposed to continue that way. You are supposed to find your way back to living a full life despite what has happened, and it can be done. We see people do it all the time. We call it being resilient. So yes, you can be resilient. And after having that triggering moment with Kareem, I became more resilient and I started living life fuller. And so I want to ask you, no matter what you've gone through in life, haven't you suffered enough? You know, I would like to say yes for you, but only you can answer that. And hopefully you say, yes, I suffered enough and I deserve to live a more fuller, authentic, abundant, whole life at 100%.